If you have adult ADHD, medications can bring about huge improvements in your life, restoring your focus and giving you back a feeling of control. But for some people, these drugs come with a price: side effects. That's considering adult ADHD. But what can these drugs do for children? Hi, class of communications and Dr. Park. It's Sonia again. Today, my speech will be medicating ADD. That's a quote from the link www.webmd.com. And that's their ADD and ADHD Health Center. Today, I want to persuade my audience that the drugs for ADD are dangerous and they should be made illegal for children or anyone under the age of 18. First, we have to discuss what is ADD. ADD, which is short for Attention Deficit Hyperactive, ADHD is short for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, which is a psychological term applied to anyone who meets the criteria for impulsivity, hyperactivity, and inattention. There are many different types of medicine for this type of disorder. There are also many different types of ADD. Hyperactive is just one type of ADD. Today, we are going to talk about the two main drugs, Adderall and Ritalin. Based on www.drugs.com, Adderall has a lot of severe side effects that no one really talks about. Skin rash, slow speech, sore throat, sores, ulcers, or white spots on the mouth or on the lips, sudden loss of consciousness, troubled breathing, and uncontrolled repeated movement, like tics. Which is really strange that you're taking a medicine to heal all of these problems, but you end up with a more severe problem than what you already started with. I just want to touch bases with everybody and let everyone know that I have done loads of research and I am completely confident that I am 100% ready and prepared to speak with you today on this subject. When people read this, hopefully it will open their eyes to see how the side effects of this drug can be detrimental to the individuals taking it. We will be comparing ADD versus ADHD and what are the differences. Well, also, furthermore, I would like you to take a minute to imagine just being a child for a minute who has lots of energy and bouncing off the walls, but the doctor decides to give you drugs that are made to depress you. What are some replacements for these drugs, and what could happen if this drug is not made illegal? Take a look over your life so far. Do you ever remember being a child, being jittery and confused or all over the place and completely out of your element? You probably do. Every child has those stages. Now, could you imagine feeling that way most of the time? Most likely not. But children who have ADHD always feel this way. The unfortunate part of this is that drugs they rely on for relief could be doing more harm than good. Another thing we have to look at is how this drug can make you addicted. However, I don't only want to talk about this drug. There's another one out there that's just as dangerous: Ritalin. Ritalin can cause nervousness, agitation, anxiety, insomnia, loss of appetite, dizziness, headache, increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, not to mention psychosis. Knowing this, why would I agree to give my child anything that has these side effects? If these drugs were made illegal, we would need a substitute for them. I absolutely agree we need a substitute for them. Based on a documentary that appeared on PBS called Healing ADD, if you change your diet, you can change your ADD. No cookies, no junk food, no sodas, none of that high sugar, fructose, none of that for them. These children need a specific diet that can help them focus in school and focus on any certain activity, like lettuce and salads and stuff like that, the healthy food. Also, video games, especially the violent video games, cause these children to be less focused. If you take these children and substitute the video games for taking them outside and having them play games and, whether it be outside or inside, lots of exercise for them is a necessity, and fresh air is really always a good thing for any kid. Um, we should discuss the 7 different types of ADD, but I can, just to name a few, here, there's one called inattentive. Inattentive ADD just means you have low energy. Hyperactive ADD, which we discussed already, just means you're very impulsive and all over the place. Overfocused ADD, which is not really discussed ever, means you have constant negative thoughts and behavior. You're always on the opposite side of what somebody says. You want to argue a lot. You enjoy. You're basically, you focus all of your energy on opposing somebody and aggression and all of that. But that should not be confused with the ring of fire, which is another type of ADD, which is caused for aggressiveness and moodiness and anger, but not necessarily in the same focused way that the over-focused type of ADD is. With all of these different types of ADD, you can't cure them the same way. You can't give somebody who has like an anxious type of ADD Ritalin or Adderall, because they'll end up being more anxious. You can't give somebody with an aggressive type of ADD Ritalin or Adderall either, because they'll end up being... They work better when you give them antidepressants, but not necessarily the antidepressants that, like Ritalin or Adderall, because they'll definitely end up being a lot more, having a lot more of the what you're trying to change in them. Today, I hope you learned about ADD and the 7 types, how to heal it, and I hope you have been thoroughly convinced about how dangerous this drug is and that it should be illegal to give to children or anybody under the age of 18. Thank you so much for listening to me.